Hi, and welcome to another edition of Theories and Thoughts podcast with your hostess Anya. And
Fancy.
tonight we have Judah. He will be talking about mental health and the film industry, sorry, and mental health in men. So,
Stay tuned.
all right. So hey y'all, hey. I was getting myself together. So hey, Fancy, you celebrated something really well. You completed a milestone this weekend. You want to talk about it?
Well, I guess. So I graduated on Friday from, I guess, as they say, the illustrious Southern University A&M College here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my degree is now in arts and humanities. It's my bachelor's degree. So I was really excited and just grateful because it has been if I had waited another year, it would have been an actual 20-year journey, but instead it was like a 19-year journey. But I did, start college in 2003, and I ended up getting pregnant that first semester, so I ended up leaving, and then I got pregnant the second time I started college, so I left again. So I waited a few years, and then that's when I started at Southern. Well, no, I've completed my marketing management associates at Southwest Community College in Mississippi. And then I came on to Southern about 2 years after that. So I was at Southern about 5 or 6 years. So it was really a long time out there on the yard, as they call it. But I'm just, I realized like in other past semesters, I kind of completed them and then I just kind of completed them. And I didn't really have any thoughts about the matter. But this semester, I was more so like, I learned a lot. Like the information, I most of the classes that I took, I did not want to take because I thought when I was returning that I was just going to be taking one class, but I ended up having to take 6 classes. And I realized though that each of those classes that I completed, I learned something different. Like I remember a few years ago, kind of thinking, even as a publicist, like I've never I never took a course that kind of just taught you exactly how to be a publicist or like the ethics of being a publicist. So I ended up taking an ethics course this semester. I took an economics course, which has been really good as a business owner. I think everybody should take one of those because it's as challenging as that class was. It still taught me a lot about business. So those were just some things. But I mean, just and then I ended up taking a course, whereas I ended up having to build websites in a way I had never built a website before, like actually from my computer, if anybody's familiar with that. But the point is, I learned different things, but I also just learned like about patience. Initially, when I was looking at this whole thing, and I learned that I was going to have to be taking 2 semesters, and that was going to be 6 months of my life. I was kind of like, I really didn't want to do that, and I was very skeptical going back, like very hesitant, but the months went by so fast. I remember just thinking like, oh my God, like, can we just like hurry up and get to December? And then next thing you know, it's December. I hadn't even taken any graduation photos. So I was like really kind of off. But at the same time, it was a big deal for me. And it just kind of showed me that I could do anything that I put my mind to, really. And so with that, I'm just kind of looking forward to things, and whatever the future holds, I'm kind of ready for some changes in my life. And I feel like that was like a, a transition or something. That was kind of the gateway to that, whatever my next level is going to be. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
What would you tell someone? Because I had to do the calculation for me too. It took me 18 years, so it would have took me it almost so it was I would have graduated in that December, but they didn't have a December graduation, so I graduated in May. I walked in May, but I still took a longer time because I first got my associates in '07, then I finished I walked in 17, I finished in 16. What would you tell someone who is a single mother out here, may have a business, entrepreneurship? Why would you I mean, you just gave some good gems too on, being a business owner and taking a class. But why finish that degree? You're already in the field. You're already working in it. Why was it so important to finish it?
For me, it was about like just closing that chapter. I remember, for one, it's always been, when I was looking for jobs in the past, even though I hadn't looked for one in years, but I did just also start looking just to kind of see now, because I can finally check that box. Before, whenever they ask about a degree, it's like, if you check the box, you're hoping that they're going to give you some opportunity to explain that it's only an associate's degree, or that I didn't complete the degree. I didn't complete my bachelor's. I hated having to do that. And I also just hated, people ask you all the time, especially with as business owners, like, what school did you attend, things along the lines of that. I didn't like being asked those questions and not being able to answer them, or to have to take so long trying to explain. Like, I hated that, having to explain myself. So I felt like this was like really close to something. Not to mention, it just kind of made more sense to me. Like, when I'm looking at how much depth I have for going to school, I needed to see some type of actual result of that.
Right. I think that's where I was. Like, I need to figure out something. I've been thinking about going back and getting my MBA because my degree is education, and I do nothing in education. I mean, I do educate people, but still, it's a difference. So I've been thinking about going back and getting my MBA, and then someone told me, they were like, because it gives you credibility a little bit,
Hmm.
a little bit of credibility on, but I think I might just do certifications or something like that. But I agree, it's worth it to me, and I think that's how I felt. Closing that chapter. I finished it. I owe all this money anyway. I might as well. And I ended up having to pay out of pocket my last semester. I had to pay that. I had to pay that.
Yep, that was the other thing I was gonna say too, when I was talking about like the things I learned, like having to pay out of pocket. It was a whole different thing. Like, I was not expecting to have to do that last semester, and I didn't know until I was about registered, and then it's like, oh, you have this balance here. But at the same time, you know how people always talk about, like, when you're going to school and you have to pay, like, it's different. Everything takes on a different toll. Like, you're trying to make it to every class. I'm trying to use every benefit. And the crazy thing is, I
Right.
didn't even learn of most of the benefits that the university offered until this last semester. Like, I didn't know that tutoring had been free all that time, or that there was a tutoring center even on campus, just different utilities or resources that I could use. But of course, I was paying for them, but I had just never been utilizing them before. But when it came to this semester, I tried to utilize everything that I could. And I see that somebody, Anthony Cole, said, "Big up, Swagger. You are a good shadow guide, because there is real women on your show and in your magazine." Saying thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. So yeah, that you it does put on a different outlook when you have to pay out of pocket and you doing it. It's like, you know what? Let me go to this. I'm not missing that assignment. I'm gonna do this assignment. I'm gonna take care of all of this. And I just remember feeling like I'm too old. All these people young, I'm a little bit older than you. So, in 2017, I was maybe about your age or something like that. So I felt older than everybody. I'm saying that to say that I felt older than everybody that was in my class, even though I was 30 something. It was like
Mm-hmm.
all these kids and how they thinking, and I think totally different than what they think. I live life a little bit different. They could go and do other stuff, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I gotta work. I got these responsibilities. So, did you feel
I
any?
feel well, let me just hey Sharona, and she said congratulations, Fancy. Thank you, Sharona. I feel all of that because normally I always said, like, I think I kind of shared this before. Normally there would always be an older woman in my classes, like, previous times I was in school, and I'd always try to connect with them because I always knew that they knew what was going on. They just always had knew like about different resources and stuff. And then these past 2 semesters, I've been the older woman in the class. And so, but they didn't. But the thing is, like before, most people would try to come to the older woman, and because they know she gonna turn her work in and things like that. They didn't really try to utilize me in that way. I was offering them like, "Hey, did you get your work done?" Because I got the answers.
Right.
But at the same time, I was doing that too because I never knew if I might need one of them for some answers or something. But and then even with when they had the concert for homecoming, most of my economics classmates said they weren't going to come to class that night, and I was the only person still trying to show up. So it was just little things like that. So you do feel it. But one thing I will say, if you go back to school at at a later age, learn how the students are now doing things, because they cheat differently. So you gotta really know what they doing because you'll be left behind. Like you gotta talk to them. So yeah.
Yeah, mine was virtual, girl, and I was just like, oh, y'all get on my nerves. And then I went to a Christian college, so it was like, and then I had one semester I had my brother's kids. Well, one of the 2 semesters I had my brother's kids, and I'm like you. When I went back, at first I wasn't gonna have to take a bunch of classes, but I had to transfer to another school because I had my brother's kids. So I had to take more. I had to do 2 more years, and I'm like, if I go to UNT, I will be out in a year. What are you talking about? But I had to do what was in my life at that time. Then I had to take Christian courses. I'm like, this ain't got nothing to do with my degree now. Come on, but it was good. I learned more, in my faith. But yeah, they do cheat.
Yeah.
They probably was cheating, but I was just like reading the discussion board because virtual you have the discussion board. I'm on a discussion board like no, 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 baby, not like and feeling like the older woman. I'm like, baby, let me put this here. It was crazy, but yeah, it was fun. It was funny, but it was crazy because I used to be like, these kids here, and then you had to talk to the professor. And I'm like, look, I'm not none of these little teeny boppers. I had work, and that's the reason why this did not get done. I had to
Right.
take care of something, but can I get an extension? And they're like, yes, you'll get 5 points off. I remember one of your posts, you said, you got it in, but you got 10 points off. I used to be like, good, 90, good. I still got,
Yep.
listen, I don't even care no more. So,
Yeah. And I see Anitra said mine was virtual too, and working full time took a lot of discipline. You right, Anitra. Yeah. Because I had some virtual ones also, so I totally get it. But to me, it was just like every weekend I was just in the house studying for the past 6 months. I was not expecting it. I've never had to study like this in my life, but in order to keep up, I had to do it. So it was different.
yep, 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 yep. So, real quick, this caught my attention. So I thought this was real funny. Derek Jackson decided to divorce his wife. And Lil Mama had just did a video not too long ago putting curses and spells or whatever. And I feel like that's what makes some Christians look like a joke because I curse whoever speaks bad about my marriage and this, that, and the third. But your husband out here wilding, ma'am. And then pictures come out of him in Miami with another woman. Then he files for divorce. You look real silly. And I just was like, I feel I almost feel bad for her, but sometimes you got to open your mind. You have to look for yourself what is going on.
Well, I didn't know that she was the one that, I mean, I thought, because I had only heard about, I saw that about the divorce, but the way I didn't look into it further. So when we were discussing it in another group, I heard that she was the one that had filed for the divorce. So I was thinking it was her. And I was kind of sad in a way, because I just hate when people get divorces. I'd be really hoping that people can work things out, but I know that's not always the case. So I get that. But when you say she was looking silly, I mean, that's not the first time though. So I mean, I don't know. Because I think about her in that bunny before with the video I'm saying. So it's like this is kind of becoming a thing for her, and I'm just wondering, like, how does she move on past this? And even when they were having the other discussion about it, I was wondering then, like, how do you go from that when people have watched you on the internet looking like you've been held hostage damn near? It just kind of like, I just feel like the next man will be trying to take advantage of her as well, and it just kind of made me think.
Yeah. I was thinking one thing I seen was she had on I want to say it was it was her, because it was said it was her. And I didn't do much research to figure out if it was, but it was her in a swimming pool, and she have on like, it's like fully clothed, like it was like, so you can't wear, being a Christian woman, you can't wear a bathing suit.
Oh
She
wow.
had on a holy suit, and it just looked ridiculous. It literally looked ridiculous. And I was like, and somebody said he trying to cover you up, but he out here with the ones who ain't covered.
Yeah, as you're saying it, that's what I'm thinking too. And it's so crazy how men be really doing it. You be in a relationship with somebody and they'll be really, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, women that do this. And then they'll be the main ones that they be running behind. But
Right,
I don't know, that's men for you. So I
girl.
see Sharona said, to be honest, I thought they broke it off after the whole bunny situation. I was hoping she did it. Yeah, me too, Sharona.
She didn't. She believed in her marriage, and you know, sometimes you can come back from infidelity. You can. I believe that you can. But your husband has to want to. He is a public figure. He should know better. Like, that's the biggest thing. You're a public figure. And I didn't see anything, saying that she was the one that filed. It was saying that he had filed. So I look that up. But I just was like, it's just like you said, the next man might try to take advantage of her. I don't know. Either she gonna go into a shell or she gonna wild out.
Well, if she out here swimming in holy suits, I'm not picturing her to be the one to wild out, but that's just me. I don't know. But yeah.
Like, where would she go? Where would she go wild out? I just feel like a deep depression, and I hate to say it like that, but when you've been committed to somebody like that and you believe their lies, and not all this stuff just surfaces and pictures and vacations and different things.
What I think is, if he filed, I really believe he filed so he could take control of his image. Because he got to think about, like, you were just relationship person. Now, I have to say, is this the reason why we're not on the right thing? Anyway, it's because he's this relationship person, and like before he was like the go-to person for being in relationships. So if he talks about divorce now, you know what I mean? That gives him a new platform.
I would.
So, or how to be a single man, or I just feel like this gives him opportunity to move forward with his image intact or in control of things. But I don't know. Oh, look, Anitra said before we bring the guest on, from what I read, she filed about 2 years ago. However, she didn't proceed through with it. Okay.
Child. I don't listen to him, and I won't be listening to him. He just never been my thing. I don't listen to none of the relationship gurus, because I just be like, I don't want to hear this.
I don't really listen to him either, but I did interview him years ago. So when I was kind of like, when everything was kind of new and fresh. So, but yeah, so we're going to go to our commercial. We'll be back with our guests.
Hello, hello, and welcome
Hello.
back.
There it is.
Today, you guys, we have Judah, Gorilla God.
Hey.
Joining us. Judah, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
All right. My name is Judah, as she said, Gorilla God. I am a 501c3 nonprofit owner. I am also an actor. I'm an activist, and I'm a multimedia journalist. I do a lot more, but trying to keep it,
I'm about to
condensed.
say, talk your shit, as they say. Talk your shit.
Right
Say
on.
what you do.
I can dig it. So I do a lot. Right now, I'm currently a lead teacher with To Inspire Peace Incorporated. They are an organization in Dallas, Texas, who goes out and literally inspires peace. Like they do all sorts of events where you could come and do yoga, mental health, healing, just talking about it and things like that. I'm a certified trauma informed yoga specialist. I always get tongue tied when I say that. But I'm a certified trauma informed yoga specialist, and I started teaching yoga with Yoga in the Hood back in 2018. I also started my own nonprofit called Suits for Judah. And Suits for Judah is a nonprofit that focuses on the Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas area. So, like I said, I do a lot.
How do you do it all?
This is my full time. This is what I do full time. I dedicate all my time to my organizations, Suits for Judah, Word on the Street with Judah. Word on the Street with Judah is a news organization that I started also around 2018. It popped off around 2019 in George Floyd riots. What we do is we go out in the community and we call it expose. It's one of our pillars. We expose our communities to what the positive things that are going on in their community. Okay. A lot of times, news organizations, the big ones, they don't have the manpower or the time, even the energy to go out and cover the things that's going on in our communities. So, our organization, Word on the Street with Judah, we started doing that. Anything positive, we wanted to be there. All sorts of events.
Okay. So I see that you start. You was about to say something fancy.
I'll let you finish.
Okay. So I seen that you was in the military, and your bio says that once you came out, you wanted to continue your community service. So what brought on the community service? Was it when you went into the military, or you just was like, you know what, I'm doing this for in the military for these people. I could do it for my people.
Right on. Thank you for asking. I always say thank you for asking on that question because it gives me a chance to really tell my story. I ended up in the military because I was actually supposed to end up in prison. I was standing in front of a judge facing a lot of time, and I had a lawyer who argued that it was not me, it was my environment. And he asked the judge, could I join? Would you allow this kid to join the military to try and change his life? So the military literally changed my life. I was a gangbanger in my neighborhood. I did a lot of different things. I brought a lot of trauma to my neighborhood. So when I left the military, I wanted to come back and try to heal some of those, pains that I put back, that I put out there. I wanted to try to fix what I heard.
Oh, I love that. I love that answer. I love that answer because you tried to rectify what you did wrong. So
Yes, yes. I believe that every person has an impact. Okay, the ocean is millions of raindrops. Each person has a very, very deep impact on this world. So I figured if I start with myself, um, then maybe one day I could help lead others. And here I am.
okay, fancy.
Well, my question before I was going to ask because I was trying to understand. Did you have a job? But okay, the military, I get it now. So I'm
Yeah, yeah. When I left the military, I started my entrepreneurial, you know, feats. I tried the job thing. I really did. I worked. I had several jobs. I was an electrician. I was a I was a tire salesman. I was assistant manager. I had lots of successful jobs. Okay, but I was tired of I was tired of working for people. To be honest with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially as a black man, a lot of times the only jobs that are out there for us are labor. And all my life, I'm like, yo, I got these ideas. I got the stuff I want to do. So I had ideas, man, and I wanted people to listen to me. And nobody's going to listen to a laborer. The only thing they want a laborer to do is work. So I had to get out of there. I had to leave it alone.
To be honest with you, in knowing both of you guys, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because y'all remind me of each other. Like, you have that go, that go, that go, that go. And it's like, I don't want to work for nobody because I got my own ideas and I want to do my own thing. So both of y'all, no, seriously, that's not being fun. That's being serious. Like y'all both are like, I'm gonna get it any means necessary, and talking to both of y'all both are like that. So
Right
why did
on.
you name it Suits for Judah? Because I kept saying, is he getting suits? Like I literally
Right
was like,
on.
I meant
That's
to ask you that before, but
no,
here we
no,
go.
it's great. That's a great question. When we started out, our objective was to get suits for Judah. Judah in Suits for Judah is not me. Judah is the tribe of Judah. Okay, it's our people. A lot of us are lost. We don't know who we are. So I want to be real subliminal with that. Word on the street with Judah is not with me. It's with you. So when I started Suits for Judah, the objective was to get suits for our neighborhood, for our people, make sure that they could have nice proper suits for job interviews, for
You went low.
college.
Okay.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, so making sure that they can have suits for job interviews, for college, for whatever they may need it for to get. A lot of times, you actually need to look a certain way in order to get assistance and to get help. So we wanted to make sure that they had those tools available to them. What we found out quickly was that not only is it not sustainable, it wasn't sustainable. We weren't going to be able to get everybody suits, and then we weren't going to be able to get those suits tailored, right? Not at an affordable price. So it wasn't sustainable. So what we ended up doing was changing the suits from physical suits to mental suits, like a deck of cards, right? You have suits in the deck of cards. So the suits and Suits for Judah now represents mentorship, exposure, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. These are our four pillars, the four things that we do in our community. We provide mentorship. Through mentorship, we hope to show our youth and their parents exposure. Through exposure, we hope to spark the interest of entrepreneurship. And then through entrepreneurship, we believe that everyone can be empowered. So that's our four pillars that we use for Suits for Judah, and that's what we do in our neighborhood. Through mentorship, exposure, entrepreneurship, and empowerment, we help change the lives of people in our neighborhoods. One of the first things that we found out, the neighborhoods we serve are Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas. And one of the first things we found out is that 1 in 6 of every Texas prisoner comes from Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, South Dallas.
Wow.
Texas has the most prisons in the world, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about that and you look at the fact that 1 in 6 of every Texas prisoner comes from these three counties, and they're closely related because you can hop, skip, and a jump from Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas,
Right behind
back
each other.
right back to back. The fact that they are related, we realized that there was a type of genocide going on in our communities. Okay, when you take people's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins away from them, and they're gone, and they're locked up for 25 to life, and other ridiculous sentences. That's a genocide. They're no longer here. They're no longer contributing. They can't have children. They can't accomplish goals. They can't produce. So, in a sense, they're dead, and they are dead to us. And with that, what happens is when they get released, several generations have passed, and it's no longer the world that they left. It's a new world, and now not only are they in a new world, but they have also lost their connections to everything that they know and everything that really makes them who they are. So we realized that that's a serious thing that we had to deal with. So that's why we really push what we push with Suits for Judah.
Okay. So, kind of switching gears from the nonprofit, how did you get into? I see that you have an extensive background in film, well, in the arts and creativity. Where did that fall into? Because I see you have Stan Branch.
Yes.
What made you? Because you're in the inner city when you do Pleasant Grove, South Dallas, and Oak Cliff, but then you went out of that and did
Yes.
this documentary on something that's outside of that. So, what brought that on?
Right on. What brought that on is our work with Word on the Street with Judah. Like I said, we started with the George Floyd riots. What we did was while everybody was running from the riots, we were running to them, interviewing people, trying to see what was going on, get their feelings, get the pulse of the city. And what ended up coming from that is we had so much footage that we just started making, many documentaries and putting them out there and showing people what was actually going on. So people started reaching out to us and asking us to come and cover things that were going on in their city that nobody else was covering. One of the communities that reached out was Sand Branch. Sand Branch, Texas is a community that's 15 minutes outside of Dallas, Texas, and it has no running water. It is an original freedmen's community, and it's one of the last black settlements that we have uh, in our state. And it's original. The people are original. The land is original. Everything. What happened is once the people were emancipated and that town was set up, that Freedman's Town was set up, Dallas never incorporated Sand Branch into Dallas County. So all around Sand Branch, Texas is Dallas County. But Sand Branch does not receive the benefits of Dallas County. They don't get running water. They don't get ambulance services. They don't get police services. They don't get anything that the city has to offer as far as taxpayer money goes, for the simple fact that they aren't taxpayers. Okay, it's original land. So what Dallas has done is try to stall these people for several generations and steal their land for pennies on the dollar. I use the word steal lightly because business is business, and I do understand that. But what they have done is, since they didn't incorporate the land, they have built all around the land. Sand Branch is a community that is surrounded by water. Since it's surrounded by water, the residents have dug wells into their land to access water. Okay. At first, it was clean water, but after so many years and so many generations, now the water is no longer clean. And so the residents of Sand Branch, Texas, literally have no clean water. And these people are, you know, they're suffering. So we went out there and we started covering that. And what ended up happening is we got a lot of eyes on it. Right now, Sand Branch, Texas is doing better, and it is doing better. It's not nowhere near where it needs to be, but it's doing better because people are paying attention to it. And one of the amazing things that happened is several companies came together, and community organizers and leaders came together, and they end up bringing a new technology to Sand Branch, Texas. It's called hydro panels. I'm really excited about this because as Black people, we're always on the butt end of new technology. We always get it last. Everybody else gets it first, and then we get it. You know what I'm saying? This time, we're going to be the first ones to actually get this technology. What it is just like electrical panels that you can put on your house that use the power of the sun to give you electricity. Hydro panels sit in your yard and they use the power of the sun to collect moisture from the air and give you clean water straight from the air. So they're pulling water straight from the air and giving it to the people where they can't access it from the ground and they can't access it from the city. They're getting it from God.
That's cool.
So we went back out to Sand Branch and we covered that story out. So we have a second documentary out. It's called Sand Branch an Update, Hydro Panels an Update. It's also on our YouTube channel. It's a great documentary. It's quick, it's to the point. The first documentary, Sand Branch, Texas, is about 45 minutes long. The second documentary, the update, is about 10 minutes long. So it's a good one. But yeah, we're keeping our eyes on it. We're staying active with that one, making sure that people know about what's going on
So, just out of curiosity, was it like, is it every family has this hydro panel,
there.
or?
No, No. So what they're doing is they're raising money because they're trying to give the hydro panels to the residents of Sand Branch absolutely free. So they're raising money to fund these hydro panels. And the only way that they're going to be able to do it is if people know about it, right?
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let people know about that situation so they can help fund those hydro panels. What we would like is to see a hydro panel in every yard. But let me be very clear. Black people have to understand something. Black and brown people have to understand something. We have always done for ourselves because the government never does for us, okay? And what happens is when we do for ourselves and we make progress, then they say, good, you got it. So what we can't do is allow these hydro panels to be the last step. The government still needs to come in and give these people running water through water infrastructure. But hydro panels are a great resource to help them in the time being.
Do you know about how long the panels last?
The hydro panels, I mean, from the way that they're constructed, that's a great question. They look like they would last a lifetime from the way that they're constructed. But the company that produces them would definitely have that answer. I,
Okay,
I,
just
I will I'll send the link to you guys for that documentary so you all can get some of the information on
okay. That's really cool, though.
I like that. Yeah, send that because that might be a good story for Swagger.
Yeah.
So
that. Right on.
man,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would love for just to spread this story. We
that's like
talked to
so dope. Go
right
ahead.
on. No, I was just gonna say we've told several people about this project. One of them is the newly elected Senate Representative Jasmine Crockett. She came out to a meeting. She's seen the documentary. She supports it. So we have her support in office. Just like she said, they have a lot of bureaucracy there. So it's hard to get things passed, but we're still going to work on it. We're still going to do it.
Yeah, she's newly elected, and I love saying she's a young black woman out here.
Yes,
And you
yes,
see her doing, you see her moving already, and that's what
yes.
I like. I like this. Don't just talk that. Move
Real
and
talk.
yeah. So one thing. So I know you spoke on word on word on
Word
the
on,
on
word on the street with
word on
Judah.
the street with Judah. Um, on mine. So that came out of the activism and the filming.
Right.
So everything birthed something else.
Everything births something else. Yes.
I love it.
I have a background in acting. I started acting when I was 3 years old. The very first thing I started doing were Dr. Martin Luther King speeches. The very first one was I've been to the mountaintop.
I think
I
all
used to
black
go.
did
I
that.
used to go on what's called the Chitlin Circuit. If you're from the South and and you perform with the Chitlin Circuit or the churches in the South where we go and we do the church plays and songs and drill team and
Mhm.
all that and stuff. Well, every Easter, my mom would put me on that suit, and make me memorize that play, and
Okay.
I mean make me memorize that speech, and I would go and do that. So that was my first experience with acting at 3 years old. I stayed with it. I went to all the acting schools in Dallas, Griner Middle School for Performing Arts. I went to the elementary schools for theater arts, and then I ended up going to Booker T. Washington Arts Magnet, and I left there. Went to Mountain View College. I did some theater there. In between all of that, I got a chance to be on Walker, Texas Ranger, which was hot back in the day, right? and um and man, that was my first time being on film, and that just oh man, it just lit something in me because I love the stage. I had always been on the stage, but film is different. You get to see yourself. Like everybody else get to see you on stage, but you get to
Mhm.
see yourself on film, right? So that sparked a different interest in me, and as I got older, whatever, I ended up getting up off into this film thing. So I do film, I do stage, I do a lot.
I'm curious, like, because that sounds like such a almost drastic transition going from, you know, this kid that was acting at 3 to this person that was facing prison time, you know, like, so it does, I guess it really was the environment or something,
You
you
are
know.
right.
Okay.
You
You
hit
know,
that
because
on the
it sounds like you
nose.
could have really had, you know, I mean, what you're doing now is great, but also just is like you possibly just from a younger age already kind of had like a bright future ahead of you, and then things just kind of took a turn somewhere. So,
Yes. Um, thank you for hitting
and it also kind of explains like you have good presentation, you know, just you don't see black men smile when they're talking, but you do
Right.
that, you know, and
that.
that's noticeable. Like it's different, especially, you know, just I guess it's I don't know.
And he
I just
speaks
think it's good.
well.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Well, y'all are so dope. Your energy is like beaming through the screen. So I'm an energy person. I love it. You know what I'm saying?
I always tell, I'll be like, Judith, like, I just, because when I first met, I was like, oh. But then when he started talking and you get to know him, it's like, he's such a sweetheart. So I did want
I
to get into the, huh, go
yeah. Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I
Oh
wanted to
well.
get into the mental health aspect of black
Yes.
men because what I thought was so dope. So we are talking one day, Fancy, and he says, "Yeah, I'm gonna teach yoga on Saturday." And I said, "You gonna do what?" And he said, "I'm gonna teach yoga on Saturday." And I thought that was so a black man with dreadlocks, like not stereotyping you, but this is not what we see. And he was like, I'm teaching yoga, yeah, through therapy and stuff. So talk about that. Talk about that.
Yes. That hits on both of your questions. So how does a how does this kid who's memorizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speeches at 3 end up facing prison time and all this other stuff, right? It's mental health. Um, my mental health was damaged at a very young age. I grew up in the projects. Um, people, my earliest memories are of ambulances carting people off from gunfights. Those are some of my earliest memories. And by the time what happened is I grew up in the neighborhoods that I'm trying to save now, Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas. Those neighborhoods, I'm part of the 1 in 6. I'm a survivor of it. So what happened is as I was growing up in those neighborhoods, I ended up getting jumped into the Crips in the 2nd grade. I was getting jumped every day after school. I was getting beat up by these group of kids, these Bloods, and they were beating me up every day after school. And so I had to, I had no siblings at the time. And so I had to find somebody to walk home with me. And it was these group of Crips, and they offered to walk me home if I joined their gang. So I ended up joining this gang in the 2nd grade, which is something I tell parents about now. You know, you kids start gang banging and running the streets very early, very early, very early. This is something people need to be aware of. It's not, you can't wait until they're a teenager. By the time they're a teenager, they're veterans in the street. Okay. Um, but I end up gang banging. And so I started taking this path that was further and further away from who my mom was trying to raise me to be. You know, my mom was an evangelist in the church. She was a community activist. She did a lot of work and everything. And her whole goal was to actually try to keep me as far away from the streets as she could. My family is a crime family. Uh, I say that I say that the way that I say it because I needed to spark something in people. A lot of us come from crime families. We see them and you think Italian, you think white, we don't think black, but a lot of us come from crime families. Your uncle is a drug dealer, your cousin is a killer, your sister is a prostitute, your mama is this, you know what I'm talking about, your dad is that. It's crime. We come from crime families. So I come from a crime family, a lot of drug dealing, pimping, uh, prostitution, and other things like that. So my mom tried to keep me away from that. And what ended up happening is while she was working and trying to provide for me, uh, it was only the streets that was there. So I ended up running the streets, you know, and ended up getting caught up with my cousins because they were everywhere at all the schools I went to. And in all the streets and everything like that. And by the time I was 17 years old, I was already in jail. Matter of fact, I turned 17, and the day after my 17th birthday was my first time going to jail. So from 17 to 24, I was in and out of jail. In and out of jail. Crimes, petty crimes, all sorts of things. When you're in the gang, you have to provide a living for that gang. So while I was out there doing what I was doing, trying to help, us eat, which is literally what we were doing. That's what we talked about it. It wasn't like, going out to commit crime. It wasn't like that. It was like, yo, we got to eat tonight. So you got to go do this. You got to go do that. Poverty. Potential is a lot, but poverty affects a lot of us. And so poverty, put me in situations where my mental health ended up getting shattered. Like I said, fast forward, I end up getting saved by a lawyer who advocated for me going to the military. He believed that my environment was the problem and it wasn't me. After I came back from the military, I was empowered. I found out about meditation. I found out about eating right, exercising. I was able to witness different people in different environments. I think that was the main thing, like seeing different Black people do things. Like I never knew anybody who actually had a job. I didn't know. The only person I knew who had a job was my daddy, and he wasn't there, so I didn't have a positive outlook on him. So actually earning my own money, working with other people, being exposed to different races, being exposed to different people, different environments. That short time that I spent in basic training, by the time I came home, I was already changed. Like I tell people this because it's part of my ministry, and I really want people to understand how the streets work. I asked for permission to leave my game. I had to. I asked for permission to go to the military. I had to because you can't just leave certain things. And luckily, I had an OG who he was like, "Yeah, no, this is right for you because this ain't for you." And when I came back home, I needed my old partners who were also my family members to understand that I couldn't do the things that I was doing anymore. I couldn't help y'all get money no more. You know what I'm saying? So that changed me. Fast forward, I end up getting married. I thought I said, I'm a good man now. you know, so I thought I was ready for a wife and a family and all of that. And I was not. I had not dealt with any of my trauma from my childhood or any of the trauma of jail or any of the trauma of gang life or anything like that. And unfortunately, my ex-wife got a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Like me, as you grow and you become an adult, you will revisit your past. So I had PTSD. I didn't know it. I had bipolar disorder. I didn't know it. I was having night terrors, waking up in the middle of the night, screaming, running from things and stuff like that. I was passing out. I was going through a lot. So it put a real big strain on my marriage. I had a young child. She was 5, JoJo, and my ex-wife. She wanted to get a divorce, and I had to process that. In the midst of processing what was going on and understanding that it was not her, that it was me, and that it wasn't malicious. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't that she didn't love me. It was that I didn't love myself. Right. Um, I had to I had to go and seek therapy. So for the first time in my life, I sought therapy. It wasn't court ordered therapy. It wasn't me getting in trouble and getting sent to therapy or nothing like that. I sought it. And when I sought therapy is when I actually got diagnosed and I found out that I had bipolar disorder and I had PTSD. I asked the doctor, I said, how do you have both? And he explained it. The way it happens is untreated bipolar disorder untreated PTSD turns into bipolar disorder. So, Black people out there who are dealing with PTSD who do not treat it, what ends up happening is your body and your mind stays in a constant state of survival. This causes a chemical imbalance, which eventually leads to bipolar disorder. So when you see
Mm.
people with bipolar disorder, it seems like they have two different personalities. It is. They have a survival personality, and they have a trying to be normal personality. So um, that's when my journey with mental health started. Once I got diagnosed, I wanted to find out what I could do to help it, because the bleak thing about being diagnosed was finding out that I was going to have to be on medication for the rest of my life. I didn't understand how that would affect my body. I understand how that would affect my mind. So I wanted to find a more natural way as to how to deal with it, and that's how I ended up coming upon yoga in the hood, and all that other stuff, and really start dealing with my mental health from a holistic point of view. So that's how I ended up getting into yoga, through yoga in the hood. Um, I love Ebony Smith for life. Uh, she helped me. I was one of the I was the only male in that class when I first came. It was weird, right? But she helped me through it. Like she made me stick with it because I wasn't gonna stick with it. It was really, I'm a young guy. These women are fine, and so I had to learn how to focus, right, and really go for my own healing and not go for the women or nothing else. Leave the distractions alone. And Ebony really helped me through that. Really helped me process it. Pushed me towards my healing. Pushed me to really do the things. And then she asked me would I be interested in becoming a teacher. So that's how I ended up becoming a yoga teacher and starting this mental health journey.
Wow, that's a lot, but um it's so funny though, because just today, I can be a daydreamer at times, and I was just like, where would be a cool place to meet a black man? And I was thinking to myself, like, what if you could like meet one at yoga or something? And I'm thinking, like, I'm envisioning this, and I'm like, I just can't quite see a black man at yoga, but and I know that some of them do practice it, but just trying to see them out like in a studio or something. So it's so crazy to hear you say that. But I also battle with bipolar disorder. So what you were saying, just it really hit me, that survival mode. Yeah. But I it runs in my family, but just kind of as you described it, I think that was just that even kind of made me wonder, because I still keep wondering what traumatic event did I have in my life that I cannot remember, because I feel like
Mm,
it's something there. So just to hear that again makes me, so yeah, you said a lot tonight, but I receive all of it.
right on, right on. I,
That's
I'm
awesome.
I'm I'm glad you receive it. In this battle with bipolar disorder, I encourage people, loved ones of people, to go and find out as much as they can, about bipolar disorder, so they can know how they too can cope with it. Like it's not just the person going through it; it's the people that love them that also go through it. So I stand with you, sister.
Thank you.
I had never heard it explained like that, and that makes so much sense that you have traumatic experiences and it just turns into this because it's not treated. And just think of how many things have we dealt with that we don't put a name on it. Like PTSD is real. A lot of
Yes,
us have grown up in environments that were just terrible and tragic, but we don't acknowledge it. And when you don't acknowledge it, you can't get it help in different things. So
big
that was
facts.
good. Is there anything that we did not discuss tonight that you want to make sure we talk about?
I want people to. My story is everywhere. If you go on my page, like I post all the time. As a filmmaker, I cover the people who I empathize and sympathize with. Um, I just want us all to make sure that we treat each other right and treat ourselves right. That's it. That's the only thing that I think I may have left out. Like, be good to yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Can you say the last name for me, please?
Agbonkhina.
Abba, Abba,
Okay, so ag as in the Aggies, right?
uh-huh.
Bone as in a
Bone,
bone.
bone,
Kina.
Kina,
There you go.
Abba,
Very
Kina.
Agbonkhina.
Judah Agbonkhina can be found at Gorilla God, GuerillagOD on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for coming. You put us on so much stuff. And so much stuff tonight. And we thank you for your presence.
Man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for taking the time to listen and to ask the great questions that you asked. Y'all had some great questions, right?
We
So thank
journalists,
you.
what you want?
Yeah, right on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All righty, that was really good. I know when he said yoga one time, I was like, yoga. I don't know. And I love yoga. I was like, how you get onto yoga? What you know about yoga? So, anywho, you can find me, ladyceo.com, lady spelled with the I, LADICEO. My email address is arnya@ladyceo.com. I can be found on all platforms, ladyceo.com, lady spelled with an I.
Okay, and you all can find everything Swagger Magazine at Swagger Magazine. Right now, we are experiencing some type of malware issue with our website in case you're visiting it and it looks crazy. So just letting you guys know that everything pertaining to me is Fancy Swagger on social media, and then my link tree is Fancy's Thoughts. That's with an S.
All right. Well, that's it. Oh, I have my biggest, beautiful shirt on. Shout out to Amber for my shirt. But that's it.
All
Bye.
right. Peace and blessings, y'all.